Welcome back to Cold Combat Science. In today's video, we're going to do 2 submissions for mount. I'm going to treat this as a little bit of a chain. So we're going to go from the Americana straight into the armbar. That's going to set our foundation for the S mount position. So I'm going to have Sean here go down on his back. Let's get straight to it. So there's different kinds of controls in mount. Today, I'm going to treat it just as I'm in mount and I don't have like a cross-face underhook. And I'm just going to be working for wrist control. So I'm going to attack Sean's right arm, but first I need to deal with his left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 2 hands on one and I'm going to try to pin his arm down to the mat. As I start trying to pin, he's going to connect his hands and generally try to hide his elbow. So my next goal is to get my knee inside of his bicep. So as I'm trying to press his arm down, I can step my foot up and slide my knee up and over. I don't have to get my kneecap to the mat just yet. I just want to put a little tension in between his grip. Now I can go back to my original arm. I'm actually going to take this cross grip and now I'm trying to pin his wrist to the mat on the far side here. Once I get that down, I'm going to set up my Americana where I'm going over the top of his wrist and I'm going to slide my knee to the mat, and I can step this leg up momentarily just so I have a good base. Make sure that you don't have too much space here where they can get their knee in, so keep your heel tight to the hip. Now for the Americana finish, it's important you keep your elbow on the mat. One of my coaches and training partners, William Tackett, was recently doing a breakdown of Mark Zuckerberg trying to Americana Lex Friedman, but his arm was up like this and he couldn't finish it. So make sure your elbow's down by the ear. Now with my wrist, I don't want this flexion, okay? I want to try, actually I think this would be kind of extension of the wrist. I want to flex. So instead of just my fingertips on my own arm and on his wrist, I want to flex down and keep his wrist pinned to the mat. Now I can shoot my weight a little bit more forward, drop my second knee to the mat, keeping my elbow on the mat near his ear, and then I'm gonna lift my elbow closest to his legs, and then I'm thinking his hand is like a paintbrush, and I'm painting down towards his toes. So I'm gonna lift and crank this way for the finish. Now, the chain here, if you can get yourself to this position, where you've got a knee over the top of one arm and an Americana grip, they're still gonna try to bring their 2 hands together. As they do that, what I want you to do is take your knee from their bicep to stepping your foot up, and now push off the mat with your Americana to pull their arm up and elbow across your center line. So now I've been able to move his arm from one side of my body to the other. From here, I'm not in a stable position yet, so I'm gonna slide my knee up to his head and then put my foot into his armpit with my knee open. This is the S mount position. So it's gonna be difficult to finish the armbar with this grip, but it's a great hold. Now to set up the armbar, I need to step over his head. If I sit down and try to loop, he's gonna come up on top of me. So it's important that I keep all of my weight into my right hip here, and the cue I use to help make my leg light that I'm sitting on is bring my head to his knee. Now I can step over easily. Now for armbar finishes, there's a ton of different configurations of your legs. You can have your foot all the way into their neck. You can have both feet off to one side. You can cross your feet on their arms. But for a beginner level, I think it's most important to learn how to pinch your knees tightly and pull your heels to your butt, okay? Now, for the finish, I'm not gonna go over grip breaks today. That's gonna be something I'll cover in other videos. But what you wanna do is use your back to finish an armbar. So I'm gonna slide off the Americana grip to his thumb line and his wrist. Now, as I finish, I wanna use my back, which means I'm bringing his hand to my chest and bringing his whole arm with me. If I try to fight with my arms against Sean's arm, even if his hands are separated, he's very strong here. But if I use my back, I can use my entire body weight to pull his arm back, and then once I get here, I stay connected, I won't have to bridge. If you want a visualization of what the bridge should be doing, is I should be pushing my hips up. The reason I'm not holding his hand right now is if my hips come up, he's gonna break his elbow if I keep it on my chest. So if you keep it on the chest, you'll have a much more shallow bridge, but as soon as you lay back, you should be able to get the finish. So that's the armbar and Americana for mount. I like using these as a great way to start attacking submissions for kind of untrained people. My argument with the Americana is it's something you're not going to see at the highest levels of the sport, but on a newly trained person against an untrained person, it's a highly effective technique, and that transition from the Americana to the armbar is a great way to start attacking mounted armbars. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you have any techniques you want to see, comment them down below and I'll get to them as soon as I can.